So how good was Jerry West actually? Now that's a question I'm gonna try to answer in this video, but before I do, make sure you like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. That being said, let's just get started. I have some things to talk about. Then I'm gonna make a very bold statement in a minute or two, and then we'll proceed from there. So first of all, let's talk about his height. I think it's important to know physical attributes of a player. And as you can see, if you were to go to Basketball Reference or Google, it would say that Jerry West is 6'3", 175 pounds. But if you watch or if you look up Jerry West and Oscar Robertson, for example, and you look at photos of them standing next to each other, they're about pretty close in height. You know, Jerry West is listed 6'3", Oscar is listed 6'5". Jerry West is clearly taller. Now, how tall exactly was Jerry West? Well, he
I
told
want to
people
know
in an
how
interview.
you
Check this
average
out.
13 rebounds a game in college as a 6'2 guard. It's incredible.
Well, I'm really not 6'2". I'm 6'4" and a half, and I have about a 40-inch sleeve length. So, and I was an athlete. I could run. Basketball is a game of anticipation, quickness, how your mind is wired. And I was always a good rebounder, and even in the NBA, I was a good rebounder.
He was. Now, that's very important. 6'4" and a half with long arms. Jerry West was not a small guard, contrary to popular belief. And I've seen clips. I think Shannon Sharp one time on First Take, or not First Take, Undisputed, he had said that Stephen Curry was better than Oscar because Stephen Curry was, taller. He was about 6'2", 6'3", and Oscar was like 6'1" or something ridiculous, he said. Obviously, I don't blame Shannon because I don't expect him to be an expert in this situation, but Jerry West was, again, let me see if it shows here his height. Yeah, it says 6'3" here. Again, he was 6'4" and a half. He was taller than pretty much every guard in the NBA at the time except Oscar. And maybe Walt Frazier might have been taller, but that's a big guy, or another name. Now, in terms of build, in terms of like what his build would be like, he's pretty much D Wade. I mean, think about D Wade. That he has a similar build to D Wade in terms of height and length, with like arms and wingspan. But athletically, he said that he was always an athlete. Now, one thing I will confirm is if you were to do the math on his jumps, he had about a 38 and a half, maybe 39-inch vertical, which is absolutely ridiculous. That's a very impressive vertical, especially for like someone who you wouldn't expect to be able to jump that high because you don't see any clips of him dunking, Now, I'm going to say something very controversial now, but then I'll support it and I'll bring it back to you. A couple of years ago, a guy named Mike Orzemba made a video about Lonzo Ball, and he called him Stephen Curry with a 40-inch vertical, which was a very viral video, and a lot of people clowned him for years because of that. But I want to make a statement and say, if Jerry West was described as Stephen Curry with a 40-inch vertical, it would be inaccurate because Jerry West and Stephen Curry don't play the same way, but it would be accurate in the sense that that's how good Jerry West was, where you need that type of expression to be able to show people how good Jerry West was. Now, one of the things I want to point out in terms of jump shooting, Jerry West is one of the best shooters in NBA history. Something very important. It's pretty much I would call it the foundation of his game. Now, there's a reason I'm saying that, and maybe I'll explain it better in a second, but I want you to see his beautiful jump shot, and actually look at his jump shot really quickly.
Here's Jerry West.
Let me make this big for you guys. Look at his beautiful jump. He has one of the most beautiful jump shots I've ever seen. Just quick, smooth, fast, just perfect. Absolutely perfect. Why is that important? Well, his pull-up jumper is even more insane. Look at this. Goes right, pull-up. Bang. Yep, he was nice. I'm telling you right now, Jerry West was nice. His pull-up jumper was unstoppable. Part of the reason he was so clutch in clutch situations was because of that pull-up jumper. He has a lot of game winners on the pull-up jumper. And it's hard to contest those types of jump shots. It's kind of like Kevin Durant where he pulls up and he's so much taller than everybody and he just shoots over everybody. But Jerry West was just so quick with it that you couldn't get a contest off in time. It was very hard to block his jumper. I mean, I think I've only seen a few clips of a center, I think Wilt, maybe Nate Thurman, or maybe Bill Russell as well, who were able to block it. But they have a huge height advantage and were freak athletes. So that is something to point out. Now, there's more to his game besides just shooting. Obviously, that is the foundation of his game. But he was an overall great scorer. He knew how to drive. He knew how to play the game multiple facets. But he was a great scorer, to just put it simply. If you can look, you can see in the playoffs as well. He had some ridiculous playoff runs, 40 points per game for a whole playoff run, 34.2, 30.9, led the playoffs in scoring a couple years. In the regular season, he only led the league in scoring one time in 1970 because of Wilt and because of Rick Barry. who pretty much held those titles for years because, well, I mean, they were just really good at scoring. But Jerry could definitely score 27 points per game for his career. That's, I think, fourth. I think it's 4 or 5 all time. But another thing to point out, and he said in the video he was a great rebounder, and he was. You know, you're a 6'4.5" point guard, and you're averaging 7 or 8 rebounds a game a couple years, 7 rebounds a game a couple years, go up and down between 6 and 7. And the only reason you drop below pretty much 6 is because Wilt joins the team, and it's hard to get rebounds over him. Yeah, you're a pretty good rebounder in my opinion. Now, another thing I want to point out is his efficiency in the 60s. Shooting 47% in the 60s is absolutely mind-boggling. If you've done any research on the 60s, you understand why I say that. Because the paint was clogged back then. It was very hard to get into the paint. And when you did, the center waiting for you was either Bill Russell, Nate Thurman, Wilt Chamberlain. Most of the time. Or at least 30% of the time. You know? Which just sounds crazy to say, but that's the truth, right? And then Kareem joined the NBA, and they had other great centers like Bob Lanier was in the NBA, and Dave Cowens, and Wes Unseld, and Walt Bellamy. And I mean, there was more great centers than just Wilt, Bill Russell, and Nate Thurman. That's the point that I'm making. But his efficiency inside was insane because of that jumper. I mean, I'm telling people, like, this is ridiculous. I mean, to be able to shoot that type of efficiency in the 1960s, and you had to shoot a lot of jump shots because of the way the game was played, yeah, you're pretty darn good. You know, and by the way, one thing maybe I could find the clip, but Jerry West would talk about how he would go inside the paint, and sometimes he would just jump really high and just lay it up, right? Which he would use that vertical. Today, he would go in and tomahawk dunk on somebody, and you'd be like, oh, yeah, he's pretty, you know, he's nice. So I think he would be a highlight reel today. But I want to skip this for a second, right, and talk about his steals per game. Now, there's a reason I'm talking about his steals per game before I get into another thing, but he averaged 2.6 steals per game in the last year of his career. Now, that's official, right? And he only played 31 games and 31 minutes per game, which is very impressive because, and here's a crazy fact, I don't think anybody has a better run in 30 games in terms of steals. In 30 games, he had one 10-steal game, which is insane. That is dang near, I think, that might be the record. Wait, let me look it up. Steals in a game, NBA. I think it's 11, right? Yeah. That was one away from the record. Yeah, Jerry West and Larry Steele both recorded 10 steals in a single NBA game. Wait, are you serious? Am I tripping? Or is this what, what? Hold on. I gotta check this. No. Okay, yeah, just making sure. Jerry West had 10 steals, and that was, the 20th game of his season? And he had a 10 steal. I mean, think about it. He definitely did this multiple times throughout his career, especially in his prime. You know, he had a 10 steal game, then a 7 steal game. He almost had a quadruple double in that game. My goodness. He had a 5 steal game, 5 steal game, 5 steal game, 5 steal games. Yeah, he was a pretty ridiculous guy. He had very quick hands, great timing. He knew how to steal the ball. We don't have the official stats for his most of his career, obviously, except for the last year of his career. But we could assume that it was between 3.5, maybe 4 steals a game, which sounds crazy. But no, he was like that. He was really good at getting the ball. Which, the reason I'm pointing out the steals is that makes him a great defender alone. That ability to steal the ball is very valuable, right? You're talking a 4-possession difference. If you steal the ball 4 times in a game and you go down and make a layup, that's a 4-possession difference. Like, that could be an 8-point swing like that, right? Which is very valuable. I mean, you talk about winning games. That's very valuable. But another thing is he's a great shot blocker, which I forgot to mention, but he's one of the best shot blocking guards in NBA history. And I think YouTube used to have a good video. I think they took it down, but in the past you could find a video of Jerry West playing shot blocking defense, like strictly just blocking shots. And it was pretty darn good. I think you can find it on Twitter now. But yeah, no, it's pretty ridiculous. I mean, he was a great shot blocker, but nonetheless, if I were to rank him in terms of the defensive guards all the time, he would be maybe top 5, maybe top 5. I'm trying to think. Maybe top 10 defensive guards of all time. He would be the second best in the 60s, I think, behind Walt Frazier, which is a very good thing. So there's the defense that I wanted to talk about. But now I want to get back to the assist. And there's a reason I saved assist for last. Because I have a question before I continue is, do you consider Jerry West a point guard or a shooting guard? Because he definitely played both positions. So I don't know what I would consider him. But, I mean, if you can see in his career, at the end of his career, he was playing point guard. He was averaging 9.5, 9.7 assists per game, 8.8 assists per game. In the playoffs, he did the same where he led the league in assists in the playoffs as well. And Yeah. So what do you consider a point guard or shooting guard? Because, and here's where it gets crazy. I'm gonna say it, and I'm just gonna let people. I think this is gonna really let people realize how great he was. If Jerry West, right, is a point guard, then he, as a pure point guard, he would be the third best point guard ever, right? When you consider the passing side of the game, straight like where you value it more, behind Oscar and Magic, right? But because he's such a great scorer, such a great defender, he makes up for. He's much better than everybody else, right? So as a point guard, he would be third. As a shooting guard, his ability to score, defend, play off the ball, move around, shoot, everything, whatever you want to talk about a shooting guard, he would be tied for second with Kobe in my eyes. It would be Michael, then Kobe, and Jerry West. Now, if you consider a combo guard, I think Jerry West is clearly the best combo guard in NBA history. I don't think anybody has ever combined the ability to play point guard and shooting guard as good as he did, right? Now, the word combo guard is a great word because I'm going to bring him back to Stephen Curry. Remember I mentioned Stephen Curry and I said Jerry West would be described in a sense like that? Steph Curry with a 40-inch vertical? Well, Steph Curry gets a lot of hype today, and I've seen people put him in the top 10. I've seen people put him in the top 5, to be honest with you. But I don't believe Stephen Curry is a better player than Jerry West, in my opinion. I think Jerry West's defensive edge is insane. I think Jerry West's ability to play both the point guard and the shooting guard and be a true point guard is insane. I don't think Curry plays point guard, but he's really more a shooting guard than anything. I don't think he can play like a facilitator role, personally. I don't see him doing that. So that to me gives Jerry West the edge in terms of just specific ability. I think Jerry West is a better scorer. I think he's a better defender. I think he's a better passer. He's a better rebounder. He's a better playmaker. Now, that's unfair for Curry for other reasons, but I'm not going to get into that. So I just, to put it simply, I think this is another thing that I'm going to point out. This really makes me realize how great players are, like how hard it is to crack the top 10. Because I want to say Jerry West is top 10, but when I say that, there's a lot of names that come to mind, and I go, ooh, that's a debate. You see what I mean? So, but in terms of like shooting guards, I would put him neck and neck with Kobe. Wherever you rank Kobe, I think you should rank Jerry West. And I've seen people put Kobe at 1. I think if you put Kobe at 1, you might as well put Jerry West at 2. That's how simply great he was. So I not to make this video too long, but I wanted to talk about that. And it's obviously my first video back in a couple days. I've been dealing with that vertigo, so I apologize if it's not the same type of video that I made before. But yeah, no, I just wanted to show you guys that. So anyways, God bless you. Jesus loves you. Take care. I hope you guys get saved one day. And yeah, goodbye.